Guys, I've got to be real with you. This one is for me. I see these old guys driving around town in their Mercedes convertibles, and it just seems like such a good time. So when we had an opportunity to check out the CLE 300 Cabriolet, I had to jump on it. And what we have here is an incredibly well put together car. Everything that is difficult to design, engineer, and tune has been done to perfection. The only problem is, the stuff that car manufacturers have gotten right for decades somehow has the most boneheaded, newfangled solutions I have ever seen. So, can the swagger of the Cabriolet overwrite the absolute stupidity of some of it? Let's find out. Starting with the looks, I think the CLE looks fantastic. We have it here in manufacturer Patagonia Red Metallic, which is a $2,300 option, and I think it's worth it. This looks amazing on camera and also great in real life. Up front, we have a big Mercedes logo, a little Mercedes logo, and a whole whackload of other little Mercedes logos. Here we have a fake vent that actually turns into a real vent for a little air curtain over the wheels, and some of the best headlights I have ever experienced. These are Mercedes projector headlights, and I really like them for a simple reason. They don't blind other drivers. It is so cool seeing the low beams adjust to not dazzle oncoming traffic. You'll have your full high beams on, but it will cut out the car in front of you so you don't have the sun blasting into their rear view mirror. It is exceptionally well done. Around the side, we have 20-inch AMG wheels. This is an $1,100 option that I would probably leave off. The stock 18s probably ride a lot better. These are wrapped though in 245 35s. For this generation, Mercedes killed the C-Class and E-Class coupes, combining them into one CLE. Now this is an inch longer than the outgoing E-Class, but shares the wheelbase of the C-Class because that's the platform it's on. One thing I really appreciate are the frameless windows. You put them down and you just have that nice clean body line going all the way back. But I might be a little bit concerned, Alex, what happens when you do a little flip? Well, right here there are pillars that deploy and pop up so your noggin doesn't end up hitting the pavement. Around back, I really like the look of these taillights, but I don't enjoy the fake not an exhaust cutout thing. Bit cold out, buddy. That's embarrassing. Get into the trunk, you push on this Mercedes logo that also doubles as a cover for the rear view camera to keep it nice and clean. In the trunk, it is quite deep, but there's very little height, and apparently the trunk size changes when you put the soft top up and down. Let's flip down those seats. I'm kind of curious if we can see it happen. It doesn't change it at all. The other reviews lied. Oh dear, can I fit into the back seat of this? Let's see. The legroom issue I think could be solved by moving the front seat forward a bit. What can't be solved though is the angle of the back seats. These are super duper, like you're at more than a 90-degree angle here with your legs, and I would not want to be sitting in this for a long trip or a short trip. You do get 2 cup holders, 2 vents, and some ISOFIX points, so it's not all bad. Hopping into the driver's seat, it's a real mixed bag in here. I love that it extends out the seat belt to make it easy to grab. Integrated into the seats, we have what Mercedes calls the air scarf. So it blows hot air onto your neck to make sure that you stay nice and warm even with the top down. Our interior is furnished in the macchiato beige Artico man-made leather, which looks absolutely fantastic, but it's a $0 option to get the piano black here, which looks pretty good for 3 seconds until you touch it or dust gets on it or literally anything happened. Just plan on always having a microfiber cloth on you, because Mercedes made sure that all of the surfaces that you touch, and only the surfaces that you touch, are all piano black and absolute grime magnets. And that's because we have no actual clicky clacky buttons. It is all capacitive. It feels terrible to use, it looks terrible to touch, and whoever designed them should feel bad and maybe just get fired. Like even just adjusting your mirrors feels bad. It registers maybe 60% of my inputs. Sometimes it just straight up gets them wrong. And don't even get me started about trying to be accurate with like the volume while you're driving down the road. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna slide my thumb right over a bump. While I'm complaining about the bad steering wheel controls, on the left you're able to control everything that happens in your little digital cluster here, which works fine enough. But on the right, this just gives you an arrow for your touchscreen, like no next song, pause, play, anything that might actually be useful. No, you have to look down there and try and somehow get to what you want by selecting it with, it's so terrible. To make matters even worse, the touchscreen is just so far away. How am I supposed to reach over here and like hit this button up there? They have a solution, watch this. Oh, that's pretty cool. If I'm honest, it's pretty easy to forgive Mercedes for the kind of chintzy capacitive buttons when what you interact with otherwise is just so well done. You can forgive a stupid volume slider when the sound system it controls is incredible. You can forgive some stupid piano black when you also have incredibly nice wood with inset aluminum. And you can forgive some kind of chintzy feeling controls when you set your arms down and this is some of the cushiest leather your arm has ever been on. One thing I won't forgive Mercedes about though is this heated steering wheel. It literally does not work. By default, when you turn on your heated seat, it also turns on the steering wheel heat, which I don't want a lot of the times because you're in a convertible, you want a little bit of heat down here, you don't necessarily want it in your hands. That's fine. Like, look, I can come in here, go into the comfort settings, heating settings, additional steering wheel heating. I turn that off and that decouples the steering wheel heat from the seat heat. Now, how do I turn on the steering wheel heater? It's not in here. We can go to the climate menu. It's also not in here. There's nothing down there. The only way to turn on my heated steering wheel now is to use Hey Mercedes voice commands, which is the most piece of shit, intrusive digital assistant that has ever been created, so I turned it off. I'm going to turn it back on now, just so that you guys can see that it is super intrusive and turns on for no good reason all the time. What fortunately is really good though are the seats. They are supremely comfortable. We have the air scarf as mentioned before and heating, but there is no ventilation in these ones. That is a $600 option that Mercedes didn't think to give to their press fleet. Enough talk though, let's take her for a drive. All right, we've got it in sport mode. Traction control is turned off. Build up some revs and give her a launch. In here we have 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque delivered by an i4 that is turbocharged. And also it has a 0 to 60 of 5.7 seconds. We're immediately into some corners, and even though there's quite a bit of body roll, it is very well controlled. I was really concerned when I saw that we had the AMG Sport suspension that it would be incredibly crashy and uncomfortable, especially given that we're on those 20-inch rims, but I am happy to say that it not only handles really quite good, but over bumps and once you slow down a bit, it is so incredibly comfortable in here. Another thing that I've found has worked really well is the transmission. It's a 9-speed automatic, but it's none of that dual clutch nonsense. It's a simple torque converter. This means that taking off from a stoplight and just generally driving around town is really nice and smooth, when some of the dual clutch Mercedes, it's much more like, oh, I'm taking off. If you're a 4-cylinder hater and have a bit more money, Mercedes will happily sell you a straight 6 version of this that does have a fair bit more power, although honestly, I am not mad at the 4-cylinder in this. In here we have a 48-volt mild hybrid system that fills in the gaps before the turbocharger comes on, and also it does some regenerative braking, but it doesn't have that like early hybrid. You can really tell when it goes between regen and hydraulic brakes. It just works really well. Also, what works really quite well is what Mercedes calls their air cap. While driving on the highway, we're doing 105 right now. The amount of wind in here is really quite controlled. Like, my hair is blowing around a tiny bit, but I could easily hold a conversation with the person beside me. And once we deploy that air cap, there's a tiny bit less wind in here, but there is a little bit more wind noise from the sort of spoiler thingy up top. What also works really well is the adaptive cruise control. So we can turn it on here and it just maintains a nice distance to the car in front of you. It's not doing anything jerky ever, not speeding up too fast, not braking in a scary way. Overall, it is just really quite good. What is disappointing though is that if you want to have lane keep assist like you have on, I don't know, a $25,000 Kia, you need to give Mercedes an extra
$2,500.
No, f off Mercedes, don't turn on. No, stop talking. If I am honest, this is how I would spec the car. I always just turn off lane centering and use adaptive cruise only, but for a lot of people, that might be another way that they're just annoyed they're getting gouged. That bit of wind noise on the highway was too much for you though. You can just close the roof. This operation works up to 60 kilometers per hour, so you can do it pretty much anywhere around town. And once it is on, after 20 seconds or so, it is so quiet in here. Mercedes has done an exceptional job isolating the soft top, and it is quieter than most roofed cars. Speaking of sound, the sound system that we have in here is absolutely exceptional. It is 15 speakers, 710 watts, and it is one of the most immersive and impressive sounding sound systems on the market. It is not particularly accurate. There's extra bass, there's extra treble, there's not like, you know, a vocalist locked in the center, but what it is it is incredibly immersive and incredibly fun. Why do we have this stupid top up? Let's get the top down. I am so sorry to everyone that I have been driving by because I have been ripping this full the whole time because it is so good. One benefit of having a touchscreen that swivels is that if the sun's behind you and it's, you know, sunny like it is right now, I currently cannot see this touchscreen at all, but once I move it, it's actually very nice and visible. I have seen people doubting online that it's easy to see in direct sunlight, but it's actually not too bad. For the screens, we have a 12.3-inch touchscreen in the center and also an 11.9-inch gauge cluster, and both work pretty well. On the touchscreen, I have mostly just been using Android Auto. It's wireless and it actually has worked flawlessly, something that few car manufacturers can say, and for the most part, it's able to just get out of your way. One thing that's a bit unfortunate though is the HUD. It looks really great and it does a lot of things, like you can see your speed, your cruise control settings, and it even has navigation directions up there. The only problem is this is a convertible, so chances are you're going to be wearing sunglasses, and now I can't see it. Because of the polarization, I need to have my head at this angle to be able to see it very well. Otherwise, it's just completely gone. This is not a unique problem to this Mercedes. I have seen this in Lexuses and stuff like that, but in a convertible, I really wish that they had thought of the polarization as a priority. I also really appreciate that at nighttime, you can just press this button right here, hit display off, and then it doesn't display anything. It isn't super bright and super distracting, and you can just appreciate the exceptionally well done interior lighting instead of having, you know, a map just searing your eyes. What will absolutely sear your wallet though is getting this thing serviced. The CLE is fantastic at making Mercedes service department a bunch of money. To change the oil, the first step is to remove 10 8mm bolts. Down here we can see that we do have a plastic oil pan and also a plastic drain port. These are one-time use, so once you take it out, make sure that you get a new one to put it back in. I suspect most of the time though, the oil won't be drained from the bottom and instead sucked from the top with a vacuum pump like this one. It's very nice to do that because then you don't have to lift your car to do an oil change. As for the oil filter, this is gonna be an adventure. We don't really know where it is. There's not much documentation online. I believe it's under the intake here, which also appears to have the ECU on top of it. It is kind of cool how the intake draws from so much space up here and sort of forces it into your engine. You have to get these stupid plastic nubbins out. I just love braking so much. The front tab's removed. We can pull on this tab right here and the whole thing comes out. Now we can see our oil filter right here, which is not the most difficult to find. For the engine air filter, we need to take off this guard, and then it looks like there are 4 clips holding the airbox together. How are we supposed to get that? There we go. Now that pops up and our engine air filter is right there. Not too difficult either. Oh, I take back anything that I said about this being a bit easy. Getting this clip back on is a pain in the arse. Although also Mercedes apparently charges 3 hours for an air filter replacement. Oh my God, I did it. One thing that is horrendous about doing an oil change on this is that there is no dipstick. It's only electronic, so you just have to trust that the electronics are right and not verify it yourself. Yay. As for the cabin air filters, because there are two, the first one is pretty easy to get at. There's these 3 little tabs here that you turn, then you pull this whole plastic piece up just like that, and it's right here. Now, most cars, you just open up the glove box and your cabin air filter will be in there or kind of behind it somewhere. Very simple stuff. In the Mercedes though, it's much more difficult, and before we get started, I just want to say this scratch was not caused by us. Now we get to take out the floor mat, and I need to locate a screw that's up in here somewhere. No, is it plastic tabs in this one? Oh, that's even worse. Come on. Oh my God. Like, how am I supposed to do this? Because who buys a Mercedes and services it themselves when instead you could pay the dealer 5 hours of labor because it's the most fucking stupid process that has ever been invented.
See if I can get in first.
And just giving it a go.
That's airbag.
Yeah, the thing on the front's the airbag.
All right, don't want to. You don't touch that. All right.
Oh, you got that down?
I got that down.
Oh, and I already got most of the other clips, so maybe it will be ready to come out now. Oh my God, I got it. The thing's coming out finally. Now that that panel is out, we can look up in here using my phone and see that the cabin air filter is reading here. You sort of twist this, it pops down, maybe? Okay, I don't care. I'm not taking the thing out, but the stupid thing's right here, and there's a plastic clip, and you undo it, and it comes out. Mercedes, this is horrible. Do better. So the Mercedes CLE 300 Cabriolet. If I am honest, I really like it still. That serviceability is straight up disrespectful to your customer service people, Mercedes. Seriously, you need to do better, but the vibes in this thing while you're driving around town are unmatched. Even if it isn't perfect, it delivers on its design goal of being super swaggy and just so comfortable to drive around. But of course, that comes at a cost. This one right here as spec is 85,000 Canadian dollars, and for about 5 grand more, I would strongly recommend stepping up to the 6-cylinder version. And I know that is a ridiculous amount of money for a car, but it's a very fancy luxury convertible. I don't know what else to say besides huge thanks for watching this video. Hit like, get subscribed, and of course check out our Patreon link down below. That is the single best way to support us and allow us to continue making videos where we try and service a Mercedes. It was a really bad time. Have a good day.